Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. So I'm here to talk about Trump's UN speech the other day. And I gotta say, guys, it was absolute shambles. It was like watching a comedy show or even a parody. You know, when you have a fake Trump coming on and start throwing out jokes in a comic show. This is exactly what it was, except this wasn't a fake Trump. This was the real Trump. It was totally humiliating for the United States of America and for the American people to have a leader such as this coming up on the world stage and totally humiliating himself. I've never seen anything like it, guys. It's just getting worse and worse. And this is not the way a world leader should be acting in front of the world stage, in front of other leaders, in front of other dignitaries, in front of other diplomats, in front of all the world's press. It was crazy, guys. Somebody online put together a compilation of some of his funniest moments, and I'm just gonna play it now. And before I do, don't forget to watch the video to the end, the full video, and obviously like, comment, share if you can. Really helps the algorithm, guys. So without further ado, I'll put this video on now and we'll discuss it afterwards.
The teleprompter is not working, and whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. The number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. Do you have to end it now? See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign, they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists. And they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. We have a border, strong, and we have a shape. And that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity.
So you can see from the clips, guys, I mean, the whole show was a total parody, the whole show. And this clip doesn't take everything that he said. I think there's also lots of other funny things that he mentioned as well. For example, he was bringing up old wounds with China, and these were old COVID wounds from his first term. Do you remember in the first term when he used to call the COVID Wuhan virus and China virus? Well, he was almost, he didn't say those words, but he was saying something like COVID virus was man-made, then it was sent out to the rest of the world, and these countries got away with it. So he's obviously having a dig at China without mentioning China. And also, he was blaming China and India for the war in Ukraine. He said that war would have stopped if China and India didn't buy oil from Russia. What he doesn't tell you is America also buys a lot of stuff from Russia as well, like uranium, fertilizer, and many other things they buy from Russia. So he obviously doesn't mention that. And also, he mentioned about the UN building where he offered them $500 million for renovation of the whole UN building, and they refused. And he's bringing up stuff from 20 years ago, which is not even relevant in today's world. What's that got to do with the UN foreign policy and UN in general? I mean, absolutely shambles, guys. Clown show, complete clown show. People were just shocked. It could be, but it could be because the teleprompter was not working or something. But everyone was just silent. I was looking at people's faces. Everyone's just jaw just dropped, gobsmacked. I mean, in the beginning, he was talking about how the UN sabotaged him. The escalator stopped working when he went on with his wife. The teleprompter stopped working, and I looked at some of the comments in Donald Trump's Twitter page, and there were people in the I'm not joking, guys. There were people in the comment section asking for the UN to be bombed, and these were probably Jewish people saying it. But they were literally asking, there was more than like 10 or 12 comments I've seen. They were basically, could be American Jews or something, but they were basically asking for the UN to be bombed. And that's their answer, basically. I mean, it's crazy, guys, that that Elon Musk allows these kind of comments in Twitter. But when you're a pro-Palestinian guy, when you're anti-genocide, and when you try and put any of those comments, you get your comments get deleted, on your account gets banned, or you get shadow banned. It's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's talk about his other statement that he made. He said that he stopped 7 wars, basically. So let's go through these wars one by one. So this is his 7 wars apparently that he stopped. The first one he stopped was Armenia and Azerbaijan. So let me tell you something. The Armenian-Azerbaijan conflict has been going on for decades, and he actually stopped before Trump's arrival. And the people who were I mean, they kind of stopped themselves. It wasn't any outside help or American help or anything like that. And it was probably more Iranian help, to be honest with you. And this stopped before Trump's arrival. And Trump couldn't even name these countries. He kept calling Armenia Albania, and Azerbaijan, he kept saying Azerbaijan or something like that. So he couldn't even name these countries, let alone stop these wars. So again, I got to call out his BS on this one. Cambodia and Thailand was a war that he had no involvement whatsoever. He did not stop this war. It was actually China's involvement that stopped this war. He had nothing to do with Donald Trump whatsoever. So again, this was a major lie. Israel and Iran is a war that he actually started, by the way. So when Israel bombed Iran, he was sending out tweets saying, "Yeah, Israel is winning. He's gonna bomb Iran. Iran they cannot surrender." And he was basically mocking Iran at the time. He was saying, "No, Iran is finished. They cannot surrender. The people need to rise up," and all of these stuff. And then when Iran started fighting back with his rockets against Israel, that's when when Israel was begging for help from America. That's when he stepped in. But if Iran was getting blown up by Israel, he would not stop. He would not. He would just allow it to happen. So again, this was another BS story by himself. India and Pakistan is a war he probably didn't stop, to be honest. I mean, Pakistan, just for um, just to get on Trump's good books, they said that Trump should be in the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping this war. It's also a very good ploy to kind of get into Trump's good books, and it's worked because Trump has become very good friends with Pakistan, and he's become enemies with India. India has actually denied that Trump had anything to do with it. Even Modi had said publicly, he said Trump didn't the war. Basically it was India and Pakistan between themselves. And because he said that, Trump has basically put 50% tariffs on India, and he's gone completely against India because of that. So Trump is a guy that if you feed his ego, he will kind of become your friend. He's like a narcissist. If you do not feed his ego, then he will come against you. And this is what's happened to India. Again, this war he had nothing to do with or stopping as well. Rwanda and DRC is a war he has not stopped. This war is still going on because I've just checked the news and articles. There's people still fighting. So this is a war that has not stopped, and I don't think Trump cares about what's happening over there. Egypt and Ethiopia is not a war, guys. There was no war between Egypt and Ethiopia. It did not, there was no war. There was nothing started. Nobody was blowing each other up. There was no, fighter jets, no tanks or anything like that. So this is a fake war that he's talking about. There's no war between them. Serbia and Kosovo. Oh, I can't believe he brings this up. But there's again, guys, there's no war between Serbia and Kosovo. I mean, if there was a war, it was back then, 10, 20 years ago, and again, he's got nothing to do with it. This is another fake war that he stopped. Yeah. So there's no war between Serbia and Kosovo. So again, you see, guys, the main wars that's happening in the world right now that people want him to stop is the Gaza war and the Ukraine war. Ukraine war, he famously said he's going to stop it within 24 hours, and he did not. And again, it just shows his arrogance, and he doesn't really know what's happening around the world. But the war that people really want him to stop, is the Gaza war, where there's an actual genocide going on. But he's not doing anything for that either. So all these wars that he thinks is stopped, nobody really cares about them, or they're not really major wars. There's nothing. These are just minor wars or minor skirmishes. You can call it. But the major wars that's happening right now, those are the ones that people want him to stop, and he's just sitting back and allowing it to happen. He's selling weapons to Israel. He's egging them on. He's giving them money. Um, and and with the Ukraine one, that's a totally different video. That's a long thing I can talk about, to be honest. But we don't have much time. The other things he was talking about is how the UN obviously sabotaged him, but he was also talking about the climate change as well. The UN has been working on climate change issues for, decades now, and a lot of countries are working on their climate issues. There's a Paris climate um, thing that's going on, which is signed by every other country, but he keeps pulling out for some reason. And he came up in front of the world stage and started mocking the UN, saying, "Oh, I'm doing your job for you. I'm stopping all these wars, and the UN is doing nothing. And all this climate thing is a hoax." I mean, and then he started blaming China as well. He says China has really bad air, and this air is going into America or anything. It just shows his lack of brain power here. End of the day, everybody knows that China is the capital of the world for manufacturing, and obviously there will be more pollution and stuff like that. But China is dealing with it. China is the largest solar power country, largest wind power country, largest hydroelectric power country, and it's now becoming the largest nuclear power country as well. So China is doing more and more every single year, and it's reducing its coal and dirty energy dependence. But America's not doing the same. America's going the other way. America is getting rid of solar, getting rid of wind, because Trump doesn't like them apparently, and he's bringing on more coal and more oil power plants, more gas power plants. So there's more dirty stuff he's actually bringing online. So it's the other way around. Not again he decided to put another dig on China, and he's also putting a dig on UN as well. And This was completely embarrassing, guys. I mean, in the world stage, absolutely embarrassing. He said a lot of other things as well, and really insulting things to the rest of the world. And like the Guardian said, the Guardian has said in this article, this address to the world leaders in the UN was for a different audience, his base. Basically, it was for his MAGA base. He doesn't care about the UN or the rest of the world. He just cares about his own MAGA base. And this speech was basically a speech where he was it's the same speech when he became the president, and he was just for his own MAGA base. And I just think that the UN needs to shut down its office in New York, guys, and I think the UN needs to start moving its offices to China because the United States is not even the biggest backer of the UN anymore. They stopped funding, or Trump has stopped a lot of the funding that goes to the UN. China is actually the biggest funder of the UN right now. So if China is the biggest funder of the UN, why doesn't the UN move its offices to China? At least, at least the UN would be more respected by the rest of the world and China. I mean, Trump clearly doesn't respect the UN. I don't even know why it's why it's in New York. It's a waste of money, waste of everything. If you went to China, at least maybe the UN can start doing good stuff around the world and start stopping genocides and things like that. At the UN, I just think that he's got his hands tied behind his back, and there's a lot of control behind the scenes. So that's my thoughts, guys. I just think this speech was absolutely hilarious for the wrong reasons. For the wrong reasons. I just feel sorry for the Americans that have this leader, who's making a total fool of himself and fools of America. America deserves better than this, guys. And I'm not saying even Biden was just as bad as Trump. I mean, look at China's President Xi. He doesn't waste time on social media or stop posting all this nonsense on X and Truth Social, nor does Putin. I think world leaders, they should stay away from social media. They should stay away from, these posts that Trump is posting. It's just causing more harm than good, to be honest. I mean, he says one thing, then he posts something completely different and insulting. And these posts are evidence, for yeah. And if he didn't post this stuff on his social media, I'm sure he would have been able to stop the war in Ukraine because he says one thing to Putin, and then the next day he starts posting stuff on X saying, or Truth Social saying, "Oh, Ukraine can win this war, and you know they can take back all their territory." All this stuff is just absolute nonsense, guys. I don't know what the hell he's doing, and absolutely embarrassing for America in the world stage. And I think doing stuff like this is just going to push other countries to look for other, partners around the world, like China, like Russia, like Iran even, and people will realize that dealing with America, you're not dealing with normal people here. You're just dealing with clowns. So you might as well deal with professional people in China, in Russia, for example, and start diversifying your trade with those nations. Start putting your investments in those nations. Yeah, I'm absolutely gobsmacked, guys. Gobsmacked. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.